So, hello guys, I hope you're all well and having a great week. Tonight, Middlesex University Product Design Engineering and Design Engineering are really excited to host our third talk in the annual guest lecture series. So this series runs weekly throughout the academic year on Thursday evenings, bringing together a vibrant mix of speakers from across the full spectrum of design and engineering. So a mix of leading practitioners, opinion leaders, radical thinkers, and emerging talents to inspire and support your professional development. Tonight, we're super excited to host Djorn Fevrier. He's a MDX PD alumni, graduated in 2013, former design engineer at Dyson as well, and currently the owner and founder of GlassLit Limited. DJ's talk tonight will explore the journey of a Middlesex University product design engineering graduate towards becoming a CEO of a company that he founded and started. DJ will discuss what life was like entering into one of the largest engineering companies in the UK, being Dyson, climbing up the corporate ladder and branching out into a solo tech company with 2 patents to his name as well. DJ is going to touch on the challenges that he's overcome, the lessons that he's learned along the way throughout the journey. As usual, feel free to gather your thoughts, your questions, your comments in the chat throughout the talk. We'll have some Q&A at the end as well. And there's an option to go live and interact with DJ after the main talks. And now over to DJ with a talk titled Life After Graduating as a Design Engineer. All yours, DJ.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing very well and you're enjoying your course, because that's the main thing. If you hate it, you're probably not going to find your passion with it. And I think what I'd like to start off with is talking about passion. I felt like in my complete journey, the thing that really kept me focused on moving forward was trying to discover what I was really passionate about. And for me, that didn't actually occur until the 3rd year, but we'll talk about that. So thank you for the introduction, and we'll move over to the very first project which I did at Middlesex University. This was with Moritz Waldemeier. He is a German interactive design engineer. He was produced through some of the lecturers that you've also got there to just do some projects and get some students involved, give them some real life experience. And what we did while I was there was create LED illusions, and that's what he's famous for, is creating sculptures and beautiful design using light and manipulating light to attenuate certain designs. So one was with Dom Perignon, which some of you may know. Others was with will.i.am and Take That, where we created interactive jackets for them to wear. At the time, it was like cutting edge. This has never been seen before. And it was an amazing experience to work with a real life designer to understand what it's really like when you have a real world time pressured project and you don't have a lot of resources and you don't have a lot of people and you don't have a lot of everything that you need. How do you actually not cut corners, but become a bit more efficient in the way that you work? The next project which I worked on was for More 4, Channel 4, which was creating their new idents, which was their new identity at the time. And it was creating these, which was essentially flip boards, and they used them to illustrate different themes and movements of how they're changing from a traditional company to a more modern understanding of diversity and the different areas of which they were aimed at. This project was extremely difficult because it was spanned over about 3 to 4 weeks of intense building these flips, and every single one you see there was built by hand by myself and some other MDX graduates as well. And it took pretty much all day, every day for quite a long time. But it was very interesting to understand how manufacturing techniques are used in the UK versus what you'd normally get in factories abroad, or what you'd get if you'd ordered stuff in. When you're bespokely making things, you don't necessarily have the option to go anywhere and choose anything. You have to become very, very mindful of what you do. The third project which I worked on was the Tate Modern with Rory Glynn, and this was to create a interactive robot. And it was very interesting because it had never really been seen before, but it was really focusing on how to create robotics into art. And this is really what his specialist is creating robotic art. And this is what it looked like in the Tate Modern Museum. And it became very popular. A lot of people liked it, but it was very interesting seeing people's behavior. I would say that through these projects, the best thing about it was really understanding the designers. How do they think? How do they get what they need to get the project done? And how do people respond to it? And why are they doing this? Because again, a lot of this is discovering passion. And I think it was probably about this stage where I really decided what my passion was, which was solving problems in real world scenarios that affect people. Not just doing something because it looked good or because it was easy, but because there was actually a purpose to it. So this was me graduating with some of the other friends in my year. And yeah, that was my journey. Essentially, it was going through trying to understand what it was that I wanted to do with my degree. And some of you, probably all of you don't know this, but it was in my third year when I was taking my exams and doing my dissertation that my mum fell majorly ill. And that really narrowed down to me what it is that I want to do with my life and my career and my certificate, which was to make products that actually impact people's lives in a positive way. So from here, graduating, you would think that, you know, everything just kind of went uphill from there, and it didn't. The very first job that I had after graduating was a postman, and it was shit. It was horrible because you all finished university, and the very first thing you want to do is get out there and prove all of this experience that you've gotten and all the stuff that you've done and all your CAD skills and your sketching skills and all of these great ideas that you've got. But it didn't really turn out that way. It was simply a case of trying day and night, calling companies, trying to apply for jobs and getting nowhere, because essentially you've got no credibility. You know, people might see the stuff that you do, but you got to think you're not just going up against everyone in your class, you're going up against everyone in every class, you know, and people that have a lot more flexibility to you. Anyway, I didn't really give up. And one day I got a call from Dyson. At the time, I had no idea who Dyson was because I couldn't afford a Dyson, so I had no business knowing who they were. And they saw some of the stuff that I did with the Take Modern, with Take That, with Dom Perignon, Channel 4. And they said, look, we'd like you to come down for an interview. Of course, I thought it was a joke, but I got there, showed them what I can do, just basically had a conversation and let my personality and my skills combine. And that landed me a job right at Dyson. So this is Malmesbury. This is about 20 minutes down the road from where I live now. And I left London and moved down to Malmesbury to join Dyson because I thought it was an amazing opportunity. You know, someone like Dyson, you don't say no to. And I'm glad I did, because it massively opened up my eyes to the real world of design engineering. And I remember the first day that I joined, I walked in the room, and it's a hangar, so it's an airplane hangar essentially. It's massive. And I walked in, 2,000 people in the room, and I was like the only Black person in there. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. But it was a bit overwhelming just being in a room with so many talented people as well. And being out of that comfort zone, being out of London, you really had to identify yourself and put your stamp down of being that person that is not kind of hiding in the shadows, but also not shouting too loud. You have to find that middle ground. And it was great. It was an amazing opportunity being at Dyson, but it was extremely difficult. My role in there was new technology integration, which essentially means I was an inventor for new technology for the environmental control unit. And my whole job was to build machines like this, incorporate new technology that makes the company thrive. And through doing that, I managed to learn hacking, you know, advanced coding, material manipulation, pretty much you name it, I did it. And by expanding my knowledge of what was available, I was able to gain access to projects which normally someone of my status at the time just would not be able to have. And my advice would be is that when you do get your first job, don't be scared to step forward and just put your name in for everything. Try things, even if you shouldn't really be, you know, putting your nose in it. Get involved, because you never know where it's going to lead you. Obviously, Dyson was great. I was there for almost 5 years, and it was amazing time. The campus was like being at university. You know, great jokes, great people, but obviously hard challenges. we had some times where we had challenges where you had to create a product in 2 weeks from scratch. And although it was like Candyland, because you had every tool known to man in shop, you had to discover how to find a solution. And I would probably say the best thing about Middlesex University while I was there was not being taught how to design, but being taught how to teach myself how to design, how to find those answers and put things together so that when you're faced with something that you don't know, you can figure out a way past it. From Dyson, I left Dyson after feeling very much like I witnessed all the people that I was working with, and some of those people had been there for 40, 50 years and never left. And I thought that was just crazy that they never knew life outside of Dyson. And I didn't want to be a manager and I didn't want to be a technical specialist because I didn't want to get stuck doing one thing. I wanted to keep my hands on the wheel of designing, but also advancing the company. And at the time, that role just didn't exist. It just wasn't something that they ever did. You just chose one or the other. So I decided that what's the worst that can happen? I can leave Dyson, expand in the world, see what's out there. So I joined Ozone Innovations, and this was a tech startup which made electrolysis machines to clean food factories, cruise ships, that kind of stuff using water. And their whole selling point was that they could just use pure water to clean factories better than bleach and Dettol and everything, you know, and it saves a lot more water as well in the process, which I thought was a great opportunity. Joined, and I loved the people. But I did feel very much there that I wasn't fulfilling my full potential because I was leaning more towards being a manager than actually being a designer. And it was tricky because I was trying to understand my passion was to do one thing, but in order to advance the career and learn lessons and become a better engineer, it was leading me somewhere else. And I decided that it just wasn't the place for me to be. And I needed to find something else where I can really have a bit more freedom. From there, I left and went to Eurathon. Now, this is a medical company. They make medical devices for people with disabilities, NHS, private healthcare. And here I really found my feet because, again, when I said about passion throughout your design course, you have to find really what it is that you're passionate about and what it is that you want to do. And for me, it was trying to help people like my mother and other people in that situation. So being able to work in a company where I can actually make the things that would have helped the people that I care about, it was important. Through there, my job there became head of engineering. So within about a few weeks of being there, I demonstrated my ability to do efficient design. And my experience in Dyson and Ozo was able to not just come up with an idea, but ask the right questions to get the right answers to make that right idea feasible. And it is about understanding, like, how do I get to the end result much quicker? And through there, I managed to become head of engineering, and I ran a team a few factories in China, a few teams there, engineering team, where I had to produce and manage all of these products which were coming out, every single one of them in great detail. But it meant that I had that final hybrid which I wanted. I was able to create the products which I wanted, but also manage people and advance up the company and gain that broader aspect of what does it take to get an idea from a concept to physically in your hand in the shop. You know, and that whole process is a lot more tricky when you think about cost, material, design standards, ISO standards, you know, people being completely stupid and setting things alight because they just want to see if it burns, and you have to protect them from being silly. But also you have to protect your employees from liability. If you're going to design something that's amazing, but it's possible it can fail and hurt someone, then your engineers and your company is going to be at risk. So you really had to think about things from a completely different perspective. But it was interesting being there and understanding how different industries operate and how factories operate versus how designers operate. And I would definitely say, I would recommend that all of you go and see an actual product factory, see what they do, spend a day, a week, a month if you need to, and just watch them and just ask them, can I just come and observe? because you would learn so much about efficient design and why they do things a certain way that they do. You know, we've all bought a product in the store and looked at it and thought, what nonsense is this? Why did they put this here? And then you see it in the factory and you realize that's why it's there. It seems illogical at first, but afterwards it actually makes a lot of sense. So from there, obviously pandemic happened and everyone had a bit of a, what do I really want to do with my life? And for me, it was a case of, I wanted to create my own products. I wanted to start my own company and I wanted to create my own design studio where anyone can come and create their ideas into reality. So GlassLit was a seed which actually started in Middlesex University. It was a design challenge with Win actually to create to create a product or a result based on a concept, and that concept was parasites. I'm sure Ahmed, you'll remember that project that we did. And through that project, I used plastic and carved out different edges in the plastic to accentuate light. And through that, it was about trying to produce an interactive way for people in social settings to quickly identify what the glass was or what was in the glass and make sure that the liquid matches with the glass color, etc. And just through conversation, it turned out that actually this was a very good idea. It hasn't been done before, and the implementations that is closest to it wasn't very good. And I saw a way that I can solve a problem in a very efficient way. So I created the world's first interactive glassware. And through that, spent a lot of time trying to promote it and actually getting it to this stage, which was very difficult. You have to imagine you're dealing with things that have never been done before. You know, we've all been to a club or you've been to a festival and you've seen the light shows on the stage. I'm taking the same tech that's in that light show and shrinking it down into a crystal glass that you can pick it up and not notice that it's there. And you can imagine how difficult that is when the technology just doesn't exist for it. So I created the technology for it, shrunk it down, and I put it in a glass so that you can pick it up and move it around and drink from it, put it in a dishwasher and use it like a regular drinking glass. But you use an app on your phone to change the color, do a whole complete light show, do a sparkle when you cheers, whatever it may be, you can do. You can even have it voice activated if you wanted to and sync with the music. But getting it to that stage was very difficult. You had things that you had to combat with material properties, glue, adhesive, temperature spikes. You know, what happens if someone heats it up too much or puts it in a commercial dishwasher and that commercial dishwasher is over temperature because someone didn't check it? What happens if you hold it in your hand and the battery explodes and the glass shatters in your face and then someone gets blind? You know, you have to think about all of these things. But through trial and error and what you're doing, you know, with product design and engineering, it is understanding the end goal and making the right decisions and asking the right questions to get closer towards the end result, and then do a lot of trial and error until you refine and get rid of all of those problems. Through here, it managed to get to the British Museum, which was, you know, an amazing achievement, having someone as prestigious as that working with NFT and billionaires, amazed by the product, you know, and it was a great opportunity for me to be there and showcase what I can do. From there, I decided that you all remember last year on the news, there was a big fiasco about drink spiking. And actually one of my friends had her drink spiked and she ended up paralyzed for about 3 years. So through the conversation with her, I realized that I could solve that problem. And that's what I did. I submitted a patent to get an anti-drink spiking glass made, which essentially uses a series of cameras and light detectors to measure the components of the liquid which is inside it. It's so sophisticated that it can tell if one person drank from the glass or if two people drank from the glass, and exactly who it was, at what time, how much they drank. And if someone made your rum and coke or your vodka strong enough, it can tell you everything about the drink as well as who drank from it. So I've submitted that pattern and that's come back successful, which is great. And it was an amazing opportunity to display this with other people. I also had another patent which I'd worked on for a while, which was an impact detection system. So again, when I talk about passion, my passion is solving problems and helping people. And this was a little bit of an accident. So I went out airsoft with my cousin, having a good time. And that was the first time I'd ever been. And I noticed that the game was completely flawed. You know, if you've ever been paintballing or been airsoft, you know, paintballing has the advantage because you actually get paint on you. But any other way of like laser quest or anything like that, how do you know? So this was made to combat that issue, but also transport it over into all martial arts, but also the general public. You know, there's massive stabbings and fights that kick off. And how would you feel if you can wear a garment that feels just like a t-shirt, but if you fell down, or if you got hurt, or if you got impacted in any way, it can automatically alert the paramedics where you are, how badly you've been injured, you know, exactly where the injury is and what to do about it. And I thought that'd be a great way to step forward. Unfortunately, when I first submitted this patent, there was a woman in America that had submitted the same patent just 6 months before I did. And you can imagine the frustration of spending thousands of pounds to get your patent to find out that somebody else already has the exact same patent. And I would say that in my view at that time, it was important for me to take that first step, you know, just try get the patent, see what happens. All I have to lose is money. And at the time I can afford to lose the money. And it was devastating until I realized that actually it's not that clear cut. If someone has a patent, it doesn't mean you can't get around that patent. It just means you have to figure out a new way how to get your patent more noticed. And the difference between mine and hers, which is what made me get my patent granted, was that hers was a one-time use only product. Mine can be used multiple times for multiple impacts simultaneously. So mine provided so many more benefits over her idea that mine was granted as a better product, and therefore I received my patent. This is how the patent works. Essentially, it's woven fabric, just like your cotton t-shirt is, but it also works with other accessories. So for things like gamers, if you're a gamer, you can wear this stuff and play real life, you know, Fortnite out in the street, and it would stop your gun from working. If you get shot, it would, you know, blind you if you get shot in the eye and stuff like that. So it can be used for so many different things, but it's a great way of getting very lightweight armor that can be interactive and used within military, the police, you know, the pedestrians, martial arts, whatever you name it, it can do it. And again, just to kind of finish off with this, a lot of my project management skills that I acquired was actually through events. Now, you all have hobbies and you all have things that you just kind of do for fun. And I use that to my advantage. You know, I've always been involved in Nottingham Carnival. So I produce the most amount of floats for the carnival and working with big names like TikTok and Spotify, you know, 51st State and the Queen's Jubilee. This is all stuff which I just created myself because it's what I wanted to do and what my culture was passionate in. And it's provided so many massively open doors for me because it's shown, one, initiative, but two, the ability to do the job before someone's giving you the opportunity to do the job. You know, we've all gone for a job interview and someone says you don't have experience, and you look at them dead in their eye and think, well, how am I going to get the experience if you don't give me the job? And I realized that quite early on, and I thought, well, if I just do the job, then I've got the experience, and then you can pay me. And by the end of it, you end up exactly where you need to be. So that's exactly what I did. And that is essentially the end of the slideshows. So I kind of rushed through that a little bit quickly because I think when I was sitting in your position, the most important part of these sessions for me wasn't listening about what somebody else has done, but really trying to understand how does that apply to me and how do I get my feet in that position. So I kind of want to open up now to just talk with everyone and see what it is that you're passionate about. What concerns do you have with trying to finish your degree, get into the real world? You know, what is it that you're looking for that I can probably help you answer?
Amazing. DJ, a fantastic talk of your journey from a Middlesex University product design graduate to owner and founder of GlassLit Limited. a brilliant talk. And guys, feel free to obviously, gather your thoughts, your questions, your comments in the chat. You can also, request to go live and talk and interact with DJ as well. So feel free to do that. A great opportunity, like DJ was in your position, I'll say around 9-10 years ago for you second years and final years. And obviously he's had a lot of experience now working at Dyson and many of the other kind of consultancies and firms that he's kind of, illustrated in that particular presentation. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to, and DJ also did a placement year as well whilst he was at, on the particular program. So there's a great opportunity for you guys to ask more broader questions alongside some specific questions as well, if you had, in terms of his journey, his learnings, his challenges, and things that could benefit you guys as well. The first question coming through from Tony Smith was a request about the presentation slides. Can we get a copy of these of this presentation sent to us after the Zoom call?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll send over the presentation. We'll have my number and my email in there as well. So if you guys need anything following up, just give me a shout.
Amazing. So guys, relatively quiet this Thursday afternoon, guys. Questions coming through in the chat? Anyone want to go live?
I think Tony Smith looked quite keen for a moment there.
No, just laughing mainly. There is one thing you said, and you didn't elaborate on it, that when you started at Dyson, you were the only black person in a room of like hundreds of people. But you said that, but you never went further beyond that. And I'm just wondering, like, in your head, what was the reason for saying that?
Because I think that all of us, regardless of your race or where you're from, we all have been in a situation where people have prejudged us by the way we look, the way we talk, just because of your age, just because you're wearing headphones. Do you know what I mean? Like we've all done that. We've just walked into a shop and like the shop manager looks at you like, what are you doing here? And, you get that impression. And for me, that was the very first thing that I noticed when I got there. It wasn't like, wow, we're welcome to have you. But it was a case of, I realized I was a minority. And having that, I had to realize that I can't be defensive about it. I can't let that intimidate me. I have to use that to my advantage. If I'm different, I need to show people why I'm different and why that adds value to them. You can think that I'm this way or that way, but I'm going to prove myself differently by doing something different. And, you've all probably felt it. Even the first day that you came to university, you looked around and thought, okay, do I fit in here? And that's the same way that I felt. It felt no different to university, but you have to believe in yourself. You're there for a reason.
Brilliant input there, guys. And Josh was asking, DJ, are you willing to let some of us shadow your design process and factory? And obviously, if you have any of these kind of facilities and resources available.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I would probably extend that to anywhere that you want to go. I've learned in my time that you can go to literally any company and say, can I come and just have a look? And they will probably say yes. It doesn't matter if it's a large company, a small company. You say, like, I just want to come and just observe and see what you do or get involved. Or you'll find that for a lot of solo designers like myself and other people, having someone there to just talk things through and just observe what you're doing puts yourself in a better position to perform, but also helps other people in their journey understand what it's really like. So of course, you guys can always join on with me on any project which I'm working on, but I'd encourage you to go to literally any company that you're interested in and just say, look, don't want to be paid. I just want to come and see what you do. And you'll be really surprised that most of them will say yes.
Amazing. A question coming in from Mir Mushfiqul Haq. He has a couple of questions, but let's start with the first one. What steps did you take to go out on a placement year?
Well, I didn't really take any steps. I didn't plan for it. So when I joined Middlesex University, I actually joined for computing design and gaming. And obviously I thought, yeah, I get to make games for PlayStation. Of course, why wouldn't I do this? And then I realized that I just absolutely hated it. I didn't like the course. I had no interest in what they were doing. And I really had to stop and think to myself, what is it that I actually want to do? And at the time, I was already making costumes and designing stuff and dabbling in electronics and engineering for other things. And I thought, well, why not get a degree in something I already know how to do? So Ahmed will remember this, my first day of uni, I turned up in a three-piece suit because I was DJing at a wedding. And I just turned up and spoke to the lecturers and said, hey, you know, I want to join this course, and answered their questions and showed them that I was serious. And they said, fine, yeah, we'll give you a shot and see how it goes. And when it came to actually performing throughout the course in the first year, you know, I showed that I was genuinely looking to succeed at this. You know, I'm probably not going to be the best, but I'm not looking to fail at all. And I think once the lecturers saw that I was serious, they were like, look, here's an opportunity to become a lecturer at Middlesex University. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, of course. It's an opportunity to learn something that I didn't know yesterday. The worst that's going to happen is I didn't like it and I'm back exactly where I was the day before. So there's kind of no downfall for ever choosing to do anything, but there's always a great benefit for just talking to people and showing that you genuinely want to be there, and you'll be surprised the amount of people that will open up opportunities to you.
Amazing. The second question from me is, do you have any tips in terms of getting noticed by employers after graduation?
Well, no. So after graduation, I did the same thing that everyone else does. You go on LinkedIn, you go on Indeed, you go on here and you apply for jobs. You make your portfolio, you know, you jazz it up, you do all of this stuff, but it's a little bit like going to a house, right? So if you go to a house and you want to get in, you have to show that you can be there. And it, you know, you need to show them that actually you can do the job on paper, right? That opens the door. And then you've got to show them that you're trustworthy because you've got the right personality, you know, and then you've got to show them that you can perform well, and that gets you a room in that house. And then you've got to show them that you can perform very well, and that gets you a seat at the table. So what really catches people's eye, and both myself as recruiting people for companies I've worked with, but also being recruited, is doing something out of the box. People always want to get that application and be really intrigued to think, what is this? What is this person doing? And then give them enough time to see, let me go on Google and find out more about this person. You know, go outside the company and show them something you've made, or just post them something that you've made, you know, or go on their social media and be like, hey, have you seen this? You know, just do the thing that is outlandish, because quite frankly, you've got nothing to lose. You know, if you do the same paper application that everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same response that everyone else is giving. If you do something different and you say, hey, this company, so for example, Dyson, they have a competition every year, to submit into their competition, and then say at the bottom, I'd love to join the company. Simple as that, you know, or just go to a company that's got a problem and say, hey, I've seen that your product has this issue. Here's my solution to solving it. What do you think? You know, you've got nothing to lose. So just don't feel like you have to be all professional. You're not a lawyer, you know. just go nuts. You're a designer, you're a creator, you're a creative person. Use that to your advantage.
Amazing. A question coming in from Lucas, and this pertains to the patent. So how long did it take for you in terms of that process, in terms of, you know, constructing, writing, and getting that patent approved?
Sure. So yeah, that was really difficult. When I first had the idea of what it is that I wanted to do, I did a lot of research about how I could actually solve this problem. And obviously great for me, I had the experience with Dyson to understand the broad range of materials and techniques and technologies which was out there, and which I didn't know beforehand, for sure. You know, you speak to people that have 5 PhDs and stuff, you know, they know their stuff. And once I actually got the concept and the product down and I made the prototype, and I thought, oh my gosh, this actually works. You know, I didn't expect it to work, and it actually did. I thought, okay, I need to realize, what do I do with this? So I went on Google Patents, tried to search as much as I could to understand about this idea. and everything that was out there wasn't the same, and it didn't solve the same problems. So I thought, well, there's definitely something here. What do I do? So I could write it myself, but I didn't feel confident enough to write it myself. I had never written a patent before. I'd read patents and I pretty much skimmed over the summary, and that was pretty much that. So I thought, could I write this myself? And what if this thing is that multi-million-dollar product? I don't want to screw it up by writing a bad patent. So I went online, and there's so many companies that will write a patent for you. They can range from £2,000 all the way to £20,000, right? You can go to them and say, look, this is what I need, and they can give you a budget, or you can just say, look, fine, I want this done, and they just do everything for you. So the first patent which I did, which is the impact one, I went to a engineer, and he was an inventor himself, and he then started writing patents for other people. Through the conversation with him, he gave me a final price. He said, this is how much you're paying, we'll do everything. And I thought, all right, fine, it's within my budget, it's great, you know, it's like half price, because everyone else wanted like £10,000. I thought, absolutely not. So I paid this guy, and turns out that actually he continued to ask me questions about my invention, which basically meant that I was writing my own patent and he was just transcribing what I was saying. And when it came down to it, the patent itself was literally just my words written by someone else. And I stopped and thought to myself, this is ridiculous. I could have just paid someone 500 quid to do this for me. And that was my lesson learned, that I just wasted all of this money on someone that basically just copied what I said. And it was tough, but it then meant that once I fired that guy, I was able to go through my patent logically and understand how a patent's supposed to come together, what's missing, what's clear. And then I submitted it myself. And I went to the patent office and spoke to the patent examiner and went through all of his concerns one by one to understand what it is that was missing, or what wasn't clear, or what needed combining to make the patent valid. And through that, I realized that actually writing a patent is no different to writing a dissertation. It's no different to writing your CV. It's no different to writing a description of anything. You're just describing what it is. You draw a crappy little photo, picture, sketch, whatever, slap it in there, put your name on it. That's it. That's what you got to do. So it took a long time. The process of actually submitting the application and getting back your provisional takes about 9 months. It takes about 9 months, and that is just a standard. You can pay for fast track, but usually they only do that if you've made something super special. And then after that, it then takes probably another 6 months for them to just check that no one else has done anything recently, and then you get your patent, and that's it. I think even have it here.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it's called. We have a talk later on in the academic year from a IP specialist, Slingsby Partners, and obviously you guys can ask, some more patent, copyright, design registration related questions there as well. But I think it's an interesting area that we can always invite DJ back to, in terms of a follow-up talk, in terms of the process of kind of patent searching, doing the due diligence, the application, and going through the entire process of applying for a patent, and how patents sit within the IP landscape. So that's a brilliant question there. Advison's asking, what research methods do you use to gain consumer insights before you design new products?
Everything, every single thing you can think of. So usually in companies, there's a whole department for that. You don't actually have to do that. You just go to someone and say, I want to know this information, and they go and figure it out for you. But when you're doing it for yourself, you have to obviously do your online research. And what I mean by online research is, think of it as if you were the person with that product, and then start to work your way back. How would you get that product? What would they think of it? How would that get from there to there? What do they think of it? Who's the person that's actually buying that product to give to their customer? What do they think of it? And what are their problem points? And I would say the easiest way to streamline all of that is just look for what is the problem. If you find the problem, you miss out all of the noise. You're basically just trying to cut out the noise and get to the sound, and just say, what is it that they want? What is it that my thing gives them? That's it. And that saves you hours and days and weeks of research. So, but I would say there's nothing more valuable than talking to people. You know, if you're trying to do any research, just go and ask someone, you know, anyone in that field. One of our friends, Jermaine, that was working on a gym equipment, you know, we did the same thing, just went to athletes and people that use the equipment, said, well, what do you think? Because, you know, no one person's opinion is more valid than the others. You know, the more you have, the better, but the more you have only just tells you what you already know.
Brilliant answer there. Another question coming in from Tony Smith. It's called opportunistic here as well. Tony, he's asking about how does he go about getting an internship at your company, DJ?
Just ask. Just ask.
Tony, what's it called? Connect, communicate.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll share all my details. I'm on LinkedIn. You know, don't be a stranger. Just ask any questions you want. You know, it's no hardship.
Amazing. And Aditya's asking a question in terms of, you know, the future for particular types of design engineers. And he's asking, do mechanical engineers have a future in the UK in regards to computer-aided manufacture, computer-aided design, finite element analysis and stuff?
No. So yes and no, right? So I will make this kind of clear that the design world, design engineering, both whether it be mechanical engineering, computer engineering, robotics, whatever the case is, it moves extremely fast, right? When I mean extremely fast, I'm talking what would be at the beginning of the year to the end will be completely different. And you have to move at that pace. So mechanical design engineers, every company needs one, but not every company wants one. And they can outsource it to anywhere in the world. So why would they get someone in the UK that's 4 times more expensive when they can get someone in China that will do it 24/7 at a fraction of the price? Now, your ability to guarantee that you show your value there is to be able to identify the things that they can't do. You know, and that is your selling point. Everyone can jump on CAD and make a box, but not everyone can jump on CAD and make a box in 10 seconds. Not everyone can say to you that box is not stable, you know, and how to reinforce it. And those are the things that you're looking for, is look at the value of understanding the problem before someone else gives you the solution. That's really what you're trying to get at with all design. Even if you're just trying to create something beautiful, the more you understand about what it is that you're trying to do, the more valuable you are to what it is that you actually end up with. So as a mechanical design engineer, there's loads of companies around the UK, but quite frankly, it is a tough competition.
Amazing. And roles do exist, Aditya. Roles do exist, but like DJ mentioned, you know, in terms of manufacture, you know, where we had a lot of in-house manufacturing in the UK, in terms of cost efficiency, things are shifting, you know. So I'm saying, you know,
I mean, I'll give you an example. At Dyson, we had Malmesbury and Hellavington, and then we also had a few other sites as well, and they were full. So when I said to you, I went into one room of 2,000 people, that was one of 7 rooms. And that's how big just one site is, and there's already like 4 other sites, right? Everyone in there is a mechanical engineer, design engineer, graphic engineer, robotic engineer. Everyone knows everything. So put that in perspective, that you're walking into a warehouse full of people, thousands of people that all know exactly what you know, and most of them know more than what you know. And even Dyson, that had billions, I'm talking every year we would have a constant party to celebrate how many billions we made. And they still outsourced all of their stuff and sent it over to Singapore and made more than 60% of their people redundant. Now, these are people that made innovative, world-leading tech, and they just got rid of them because of money. So your value is what you know and how well you can get the answer before someone else does. That's your value.
Amazing. And a question coming in from Drew Mohabir. What do you find fascinating in terms of about helping people and problem solving? What does it for you, DJ?
Well, I think that I've always had the same inquisitive mind of how does something work? and, you know, trying to make something look better or be better. But my passion came from seeing my mother in that situation where she needed help. She was, you know, paralyzed from stroke, and there was nothing to help her. And I thought, there's got to be a solution to this problem. You know, that ended up being my final degree submission, but there's got to be something. And being in the rehab center, my inspiration of what it is that I wanted to do and the options available to me was because I saw people that needed stuff and there was nothing for them. So I would say, for all of you, your passion of what it is that you want to get, go to that place where you like something, and then just look around and just see what doesn't make sense. You know, we've all done something like go on the bus and you're like, this is just nonsense. Why does it take 5 minutes for someone to get on the bus? Maybe there's a better way, you know, or why does it look so ugly? If someone just changed the color or the texture or change the material, this can be so much better. You know, you all have that opportunity to see and get inspiration from everything around you, but you won't get inspiration if you surround yourself by things that don't motivate you.
Amazing. A really good question coming up actually by Tony Smith. Tony's asking, when you started at Dyson, how big was the gap between what you knew and what you had to learn to do the job?
I would say when I joined, I came in like a cocky bastard. I was like, you lot can't tell me jack. I know this, blah, blah. And you sit down and you realize that you don't know jack. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Literally, you know nothing, Jon Snow. It was like that because you know as much as you've been exposed to. And it's only when someone says to you, have you looked in that door? And you're like, no. And then you open it and you're like, what is this? You know, I don't even know what this is. And you can't even Google it because you don't know what it is. You're just looking at this object in front of you. And it was huge. It was absolutely huge. But I would say don't let that bother you, because companies don't expect you to know this stuff. There's people that's been there for 15 years. They still don't know how to program an Arduino controller. You know, they don't expect you to know everything. They just expect you to be able to collaborate with people to get to know what you need to know to solve the problem. You know, I mean, you'll know this, I've got terrible memory. I don't remember my birthday most days because my memory's that bad, but I know how to learn things. So whenever I came across a challenge, I was able to identify, how do I relearn what I need to know to get to the solution as quick as possible? And that's what they want from you, is to be able to identify what's going to be a waste of time and what's going to be a good use of time. So don't worry about the gap, but depending on the company, it could be massive. I mean, I spoke to one company in London just on Monday that was asking for some stuff to be designed up for them. And I thought a graduate could do this, but they didn't know that. So even the company themselves don't always know what it is that they need. So don't let any size of company worry you about what you can provide to them. Demonstrate your personality, demonstrate your skills, and demonstrate your ability to consume and learn information. That's all you need to do.
Amazing. Yeah, and obviously be willing to learn, grow, and continue learn on the job as well to grow personally, professionally. Brilliant there. Really well articulated as well. A couple of questions coming in from Harry Miller Adams. First part of the question is, what's your favorite part of the design process?
The end. The end. I would say that it's like milestones. It's like, you know, milestone birthdays. You know, you get to your 10th birthday, you're super excited, you got your costume on and stuff like that, looking like an idiot. And then it gets to your 18th and you're dressing up, looking great. And then it gets to your 21st and you're looking even better, you know. But then it's not until you get to that big birthday where you're like, oh my goodness, like I did it, I finished everything. And then what you wanted to happen actually happens. You know, for me, when I was creating GlassLit, it was amazing at every stage when I put stuff together and it worked. And then that looked great. And I was like, oh, this looks cool. That looks great. That looks good. That worked. And, you know, things just came together. But it didn't compare to when someone else picked up the glass and it lit up and it literally screamed. And it was that moment when I realized that the impact of my thought process provided something to someone exactly the way that I wanted it to. And that's the best part. And, and I would say that that is the motivation not to give up when you're tired and you can't be bothered. And, I've been in all of your shoes when we're at uni and you're just like, I've had a long day, traveled home, I'm hungry, I'm tired, my girlfriend's annoying me, I'm broke, whatever the case may be. You just got all of these complaints, but then you actually do the work and you submit it and then you get your result and you're like, totally worth it. Totally worth all of that stress, because you've achieved something. That self-gratification, that's the best part.
Amazing. I think DJ, you just described how all of them are feeling right now at 5:55 on a Thursday evening. What's it called? Besides those guys who are busy tucking away and enjoying their early suppers behind those grey tiles, huh?
Yeah.
Amazing. The second part of Harry's question was, what part of the process do you find most challenging?
The most challenging part is, I'd probably say having help. When you don't know something or something's just not working and you're getting yourself very frustrated because you spent hours and hours and hours trying to do something and it falls apart and it doesn't work. It's not that it's failed that bothers me. It's the fact that I don't know the answer and I don't know who to ask for that answer. The people around me cannot provide me with the information that I need. And I have no choice but to just go through the mud until I find it out. That's the hardest part. But that also makes the reward so much sweeter. When you know that you put in blood, sweat, and tears into something, all of you, I'm pretty sure, think back to year one of this course when you joined and everything was just kind of hunky-dory, and then year two got a bit harder and now you're like, okay, final stretch now. It's hard when you're like, I just want this done and I can't ask my friend to help me, I can't ask my teacher to do it for me, I just want someone to show me step by step what to do. But you're never going to appreciate the reward if you don't cry about it. If you don't sit at home and then throw your laptop across the room, you're not going to appreciate the value that it brings once you've actually achieved it.
Amazing. Another question coming in from Mir is asking, how important is the university you're graduating from in the professional world?
Doesn't matter. I mean, I would say that most of the people that I've worked with in engineering come from Loughborough. I didn't even know that was a thing, but they come from some sort of prestigious university that is class leading for X, Y, and Z, but it means jack. It means absolutely nothing, because again, when you go for any job, where you came from doesn't matter. It's where you're going. That's what they're looking for. When I was hiring, if I was looking at any one of you guys, I'll be looking at, okay, does this person on paper, can they do CAD? Yes, they can. Can they sketch something? Yes, they can. Can they do the design process? Yes, they can. Fine. I've already seen that from your CV. I already know that. So when it gets to the interview, I want to know, like, is this person respectful? Is this person, can they listen? Can they communicate? All of that kind of stuff. And then I will give them the opportunity. Everything else, it doesn't matter, because I need to know that if I employ you, I'm going to get my money's worth out of you. And that's what it is. You are a number on a sheet. When someone employs you, they want to make sure that their investment is going to return. So are you the sort of person that's going to give up and quit the job? Are you the sort of person that's going to stay late and get the job done and solve that problem? Are you the person that's just going to faff about? Do you know what I mean? And that's what they're looking for.
Amazing. And the final question here in the chat, unless anyone else has something that they'd like to pop in the last few minutes, Advaithan is asking, what's the newest or most important thing that you've learned which has improved your design work?
Being able to ask the right questions. That's the most important thing. I think, like I said, when I joined Dyson, I believed that I understood design and engineering, because I had done the degree, I got done this experience and I knew what I was talking about. But when you're working on a live project and you're watching it unfold in front of your eyes and you're the one in control, you start to realize that, why didn't I think of that 10 minutes ago? Why didn't I think of that 2 weeks ago? I would have saved myself all of this time and money if I would have just stopped and thought of what I was doing before I did it. And I would say that is the best thing that I've learned, is to ask the right questions to streamline all of that nonsense that you go through and wasting time. And it will still happen. Don't get me wrong. My last project that I made, I went through so much nonsense before I realized that I could have just done that. But it's because I was looking at things from a different perspective. And it's what I mean about having the right people around you, is sometimes you kind of fall down a little bit of a rabbit hole. But asking the right questions at the right time makes you avoid those rabbit holes as much as possible and narrow it down. So give you an example, if you're starting a project and you know, there's probably like 50 different ways it can unfold, right? You think I could have it like this, or can make it a bit like that, could do this, could do that. Asking the right questions. Why are we doing this? How much money do I actually have to spend? How much time is this going to take? Where am I going to get this stuff from? Okay, is it actually suitable? Is there better material? You know, do I have to do all of this stuff? Does that answer the question? And then that narrows it down to, actually, now you only got 5 options. Great. Of those 5 options, which one can I actually do? 3, fine. Of those 3, which one do I actually want to do? 2, fine. Then you tackle the one. And that's it. And then whatever you end up with is going to be 80–90% of what you want. And then the rest of it is going to be iteration after iteration of, actually, I'm on the right track. This is the right thing I'm supposed to be doing. I just need to invest a bit more time.
Amazing. And a couple of questions just to close there, DJ. Obviously, it's been around 9 or 10 years now since you've graduated from Middlesex University Product Design, BSc as a product design engineer. Looking back now, right, at your time at university, at Middlesex University, what would be some of your reflections in terms of what you gained from the program? And, you know, like looking back now, like, yeah, what made you the designer you are today from the kind of educational experiences that you have?
Yeah, I think when I came to Middlesex, I didn't know jack about design engineering, literally didn't know anything. I don't even think I had the right qualifications to go on the course. So everything that I learned there opened up my eyes. I didn't know what CAD was, you know, I had no idea. And I would say through my time there, it was a case that MDX is great for opportunities. There's so many doors open to you for things for you to access. You just have to be willing to take it. And once you do that, that will open up your eyes to what's really out there. And I think learning CAD was great. It's a life skill. I feel like everyone should know it. Learning coding is great. Everyone should learn it. Even if it's basic coding, it gives you an appreciation, understanding of just how to do one foot in front of the other. But at Middlesex, I would say, you know, the people that I was with encouraged me that I was on the right track. But most importantly, that what I was seeing around me was temporary. Everything that I'm learning now, I'm paying for this, you know. And Ahmed, you remember we had a whole petition about some crazy fee that we had to pay for something. And I remember saying to the class, like, stop messing around. You know, when I was teaching there, I said to one of the class, like, don't mess around, because you're actually paying for this. This isn't a free ride. This money is going to come out of your bank account, if not now, in the future. So if you want to waste a free course, fine, do it. But everything you're being told now, you can use that to your advantage in the future. You just have to pay attention. And I think for me, working with people like Stephen Pryor, working with Win, working with all these people that were like, this is what it's really like in the real world. This is what these skills mean, and this is the value that it brings, and this is what that does, and that's what that does. The machinery, the facilities that you have, you can't get that anywhere. Like, you can't just walk down to the local B&Q and go and get a laser cutter. Like, it doesn't exist. So while you have all of these ideas now, and I say this to all of you guys, if you've got an idea, if it's a business idea, a product idea, just anything in your mind, make it while you're there, while it's free, basically, while the machinery is free and your time is free and you don't have any mortgage to pay. Do it. You've got nothing to lose. Set up your business and just start selling random stuff. Why not? Because quite frankly, that will teach you all the stuff that you're learning in class, how it relates to practically in the real world. Every single thing that was on our course, I've used, you know, even if I've just used it for a day, I've used it at some point. Sketching to understand, how do I communicate to someone an idea if I can't type it to them, if it takes too long to cat it out, you know, what do I do? You know, how do I try to, you know, generate ideas if someone's giving me tight restrictions, stuff like that. You know, really try to understand the process of creating a product. Once you leave here, if you decide to be a design engineer, you're going to be using that all day, every day. You can't avoid it. So you might as well get the most training while you can, like as if you're training for a race. Get the training in while you can, while it's free.
Amazing.
I mean, for me, quite frankly, if I can come back and use your machines, I'd be there tomorrow for free. I would be there tomorrow for sure.
Amazing. And DJ, the last point, I guess, and I guess this is more of a request in terms of like sharing some advice. So now looking back again, 9-10 years ago, what would you have wished someone would have told you, I guess, when you were in this position as a student at Middlesex University, your kind of final advices to the students here on the call?
Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. I mean, it took for the pandemic for me to get real perspective about what it is that I want to do and what opportunities it can open. And I just kicked myself that I didn't do GlassLit 10 years ago. You know, the product was there, the idea was there, it was already made. And I doubted myself and I focused too much on getting a job in a company than realizing I can create my own company and make my own job. I don't need to follow the same route that everyone else is doing. And if I'd done that then, I would have learned so much more. 10 years would have been like fast tracked easily. And then I would have been 25 millionaire. Do you know what I mean? Like who doesn't want that? But yeah, don't wait. Like you've got nothing to lose by trying stuff. You've got nothing to lose by just making a fool out of yourself. You know, like I said, go to a company, go to a designer and be like, hey, can I just come and chaperone you? I'll be your assistant for free. No one's going to say no, but you're going to gain so much out of it. Set up your own company and start designing products that you care about and just make them, just make stuff. And not just that will give you the jobs that you're looking for, but also that it will give you the experience that you can't buy. And when you get to a large company, don't think they're going to train you up and they're going to give you all of the stuff that you want. It doesn't happen. They just want you to do what they told you to do. And that's it. You know, everything else, that's on you. So if you want to be a better person, just go and do it. If you screw up, so what? You're in no worse position than when you left university. Just do it. Why not?
Amazing. So now, fantastic advices there from yourself as well, DJ. And I guess the thing is here, guys, you guys are learning so many skills and techniques that are kind of transferable in the real world. You know, they can be used in different ways, in different applications, and for different kind of areas and disciplines as well. And the key thing is, you know, to kind of build your confidence and your competence in those core skills. And like DJ has highlighted through his journey and through his experience, there's no single route, right? You can work at a company, you can work in consultancy, you can start up your own company. And DJ has kind of highlighted those touch points throughout his journey as well. So I'd like to conclude, obviously, the session now with no more questions in the chat. So thank you, DJ, obviously, for taking out your time, joining us tonight. It was a brilliant talk and a really fantastic Q&A. You know, thanks a lot. And for all of us, guys, DJ's details were sent to your emails ahead of the talk, including his LinkedIn, links to the GlassLit website, and a social media handle as well for Instagram. So guys, definitely feel free to browse and connect. And to conclude again, to all the participants who've joined tonight, students, staff, alumni, keep an eye on your emails for the details of the next speaker and the links to the next talk. And until next week, stay well, stay safe, and thank you, guys.
Sounds good.